Hey kiddies, hope everybody survived Halloween. We're out of October, so we don't have to do horror movies every single week or watch them every single time you put on a movie. I racked up 75 different horror movies over the month of October, which is a little bit much even for me. So this week we'll be breaking with the scary stuff and go into more comedic areas with our neighbors from the Great White North. The Canadians. We're going to be looking at SCTV movies. These are movies that feature a large contingent of actors from the old SCTV television show. SCTV was essentially Canada's answer to Saturday Night Live, developed out of the Second City comedy troupe. It is an improv group and a really great training ground for some of the more famous comedians that we know and love today. It would be impossible to list them all in a short video. Our menu includes The Adventures of Bob and Doug McKenzie, Strange Brew, Club Paradise, and Heavy Metal, with an honorable mention to Innerspace. Strange Brew is the only official SCTV movie on our list, and I think the only real one that ever existed, in that it is based on an actual comedy sketch from SCTV, The Great White North, with Bob and Doug McKenzie, played by Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas, respectively. And the funny thing is, the sketch originated from a complaint from the producers of SCTV saying that they needed to put on more Canadian-themed comedy. So Rick and Dave came up with the most blatant Canadian stereotypes and put them on for the last 5 minutes of an episode of SCTV. And it turned out to be a big hit, so much so that they did a comedy album and then eventually this movie, which is one of the cultier of culty films I've ever seen, in that it is really kind of terrible. It's funny in parts, and when the parts are funny, they're really funny, but it's mainly just absurd. It's nominally an adaptation of Hamlet, in that they make references to Hamlet and certain themes of it. I would say this is more of an adaptation of Hamlet than The Lion King ever was. That's never really made a lot of sense to me. But it takes place. But Bob and Doug are trying to score some free beer by faking a mouse in a beer bottle at the Elsinore Brewery, where they find that there are rotten things going on in the Elsinore Brewery ever since the plant owner died under mysterious circumstances. He was murdered by his brother, and now there's a secret plan to drug the beer to give Brewmaster Smith, played by Max von Sydow, total control over the entire world. Did I mention it's kind of stupid? But it gets really funny at a lot of different parts. And Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas, always a good time. And there's an awful lot of Star Wars references in it as well. It's a very confusing movie in that you don't know what's going on half of the time, but it comes out all right at the end, and features a flying dog painted as a skunk. So, I mean, where else are you going to see that? Club Paradise is a Robin Williams movie in which Robin Williams plays a firefighter that gets fed up with it, gets a big insurance claim, and moves out to the islands, and decides to actually, do something productive by opening up a club resort. And the funny thing is that the majority of the guests in their opening weekend are former members of SCTV. We've got Joe Flaherty is flying the plane. Andrea Martin is showing up. Andrea Martin, for those of you who don't know, basically think Sherry O'Terry before Sherry O'Terry happened, and this is Andrea Martin. She could make literally anything funny. Rick Moranis and Eugene Levy playing Barry and Barry, smoked meats, and they will steal every single scene that they're in, playing the yuppiest of yuppie scumbags that are just trying to score weed and women. And they're just a hell of a lot of fun. And the movie was actually directed by Harold Ramis himself, an alum of Second City TV and the comedy troupe. Oh, and also a former writer from SCTV, Brian Doyle-Murray, the Murray brother that looks noticeably older than all of the other Murray brothers. So they're all there, and basically, it almost at times feels like an excuse for everybody to just go on vacation and have fun. Robin Williams is doing his thing. Twiggy is playing his love interest, and any excuse for Twiggy. Jimmy Cliff, the great reggae musician, is playing Robin Williams' partner / freedom fighter, and just thrown into the mix once again, Peter O'Toole. Probably one of the phoning it in roles for Peter O'Toole, but again, like I said in previous weeks, this does not mean it's not great Peter O'Toole. And it's crime because you can never find them on YouTube or even just the dialogue on IMDb. But he has these soliloquies that are just the funniest goddamn things in the world, even before they're delivered by Peter O'Toole. But because of the high number of SCTV people in it and similar themes, we're gonna say this is an SCTV movie. A la any of the other Saturday Night Live movies that didn't necessarily arise out of a Saturday Night Live sketch, but feature a lot of them. Like, say, Three Amigos. Let's go with that one. Like Three Amigos. Finally, we have heavy metal, and I'm not gonna lie, this is probably a stretch. And we're also putting it on here because as culty as Strange Brew is, heavy metal is probably one of the cultiest movies, ever produced by man. An entirely Canadian production featuring production from Ivan Reitman, who works with Harold Ramis a lot. The movie has nothing to do with SCTV other than the fact that 4 different cast members provide voices. These include Eugene Levy and Joe Flaherty, Harold Ramis, and John Candy plays a bunch of different people in it. You heard that too, right? It's based on the old French comics, Metal Hurlant. I think Heavy Metal was the Americanized version of Metal Hurlant. And it's basically boobs, guns, space, and badassery. Just for 90 minutes. And it's animated. And it's just a hell of a lot of fun. And in the background, you got all this great, 80s metal and, Devo. But it's really good. By really good, I mean just fun to watch. It's kind of absurd and ridiculous. And I will freely acknowledge that after you see a full-grown woman naked in real life, a lot of the value decreases for this one, but it's still a good time, and you should check it out. Finally, just honorable mention, just shout out to Innerspace, the Martin Short, Dennis Quaid movie by Joe Dante, where Dennis Quaid gets shrunk down and injected into Martin Short's ass, and it's kind of a fantastic voyage, but, played for laughs. And Martin Short is not quite aware of what's going on. He knows something bad has happened, but he's not sure what. He's a hypochondriac. He's waiting in a waiting room to talk to his doctor, and to the right and to the left of him are Joe Flaherty and Andrea Martin, 2 of his former castmates from SCTV, and they just provide reaction shots, but it's still just a hell of a lot of fun. So, SCTV movies, not doing horror. Watch Bob and Doug, Strange Brew, Club Paradise, Heavy Metal, and if you have time, check out Innerspace. And I'll talk to you later.